Hello, Stephen.
Morning.
Morning. Nice to see you again, MJ.
I'm starting to enjoy these morning meetings. Way better than waiting. For me, it's like almost 8.
Almost here 2:20 afternoon here.
Yeah, so it's ideal.
Hello, Dream.
Right, it's 3 minutes past, so let's get started. Welcome everybody to the July 3rd SIG multi-cluster call. And Honka, you've got the only item on the agenda.
Yeah. At the last meeting, we talked about the next move of the work to define standard termination. The standard concepts, and I thought we are going to have a formal survey on that, and today I want to make sure that if we are on the same page. So today I see some people in Slack, and I'm not sure if everyone we if we are on the same page that to make the formal survey.
Yeah, I haven't watched so this was discussed in the June 24th call as well, but I haven't watched the recording of that, and there weren't any notes taken in the agenda doc, so I don't know what the discussion was like there. So there's the comments from Mike and you on the pull request itself.
Okay.
Well, so I guess, so essentially the question is now, is there agreement that we should have another survey
Okay.
or not? Was anybody else here on the June 24th call? I'll take that as a no. So that means, yeah, I'll go and watch the recording. Apologies for not doing that earlier, but yeah. So I thought that your proposal makes, well, I think Mike's message and yours, Honkai, both make sense, right? The Mike saying what we said as well, and the previous APAC friendly call is that the goal isn't to force projects or even encourage projects to change terminology. It's just to provide a consistent and well-defined set of terms at the SIG level for SIG documents. But I do take your point, Honkai, that, well, there are quite a few projects that are part of the SIG MC ecosystem, let's say, that weren't involved in the previous survey, so it might be worth having another one. But yeah, there hasn't been any reaction from the people that you CC'd in the PR.
Okay.
I don't
Just see Roy just joined the meeting. Roy, can you hear us?
Yes.
Yeah.
know.
We think we are going to have a formal survey to define the standard term in SIG multicluster, and so do you have any thoughts about it?
Yeah, so I see Children's question. Yeah, I'm not entirely sure whether this is a this like whether we really need another survey, but I feel like if we can reach out to more people, it doesn't hurt. Our previous survey are mostly, I think, mostly the SIG who regularly attend SIG that's voted. I'm not sure if this survey can reach to more diverse audience. That's the part I didn't fully get. Who is this survey going to reach to that we didn't reach out last time?
Yes, yes, yeah, exactly. Yeah, the last survey we have we did that survey on a PR comments section. I think first the thing is it's not that looks that formal, and the second is we seems don't have enough options, so that's why we want to have a formal survey, and the new survey will we are I think we are inspired from the new survey is that we not just only define just one term. We might need to define more than one terms. For example, we might don't need just one term for cluster we are running the control plane components. Also, we need a term for describe the memory cluster or hub or spoke cluster, anything. So something like that.
Yeah, I mean, probably doesn't hurt, but I'm not too sure if the term is something that is super important, because we already said even if we have some community terms, we're not going to force this on to each individual project. So yeah, on one side it might be useful. On the other side, it probably won't affect each individual projects that much. Yeah.
Yeah. One more thing about the new survey. The most important thing I think is to get broader participation. So that's why I left the comments on the GitHub and uh, and CC
Yeah,
some
that
guys.
actually is more interesting to me, because last time we had a lot of survey or questions that send out. As far as we know, like when we send out, we don't get that many replies. I think last time Laura also sent out a survey about the ladder thing. We get very few response. So if this time we can get a lot of response, that might be helpful. I'm not entirely
Yeah.
sure how do we achieve that though.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So good.
Yeah, so that's why I mentioned that there hasn't been any. Well, it's only been a week, or even if that, 27th. Yeah, a week. Honkai, since you left your last comment on the PR, and with a number of people with explicit pings, and they haven't responded. So maybe that's a first step to see if people are actually interested, especially from well, you're representing Karmada, but other projects, Kubestellar and so on, that we don't hear all that much about. So I think that would be sort of the first step. If there's nobody even interested in having apart from no, there's not nobody interested in having a second survey, but if we don't get more response, even just to the idea, then that might be an indication that there won't be much response to the actual survey itself. But I do agree that it was different. Well, compared to surveys we've had in the past, like when we chose the term cluster set, there was an actual voting form and whatnot. It wasn't just the thumbs up, thumbs down thing on GitHub. So that is a bit different. We had it was probably slightly longer with more communication around it. But it's hard to tell if there would be interest, given that there's not much response on the PR itself. And I'm wondering too how effective it would be to have one survey on multiple terms. And I'm sort of wondering if the appropriate solution is, all right, yeah, entry points out that GitHub is super bad at notifications, mostly because it just sends out far too many, so people don't read them anymore. That's true. So maybe we need to ping folks on Slack or elsewhere. But yeah, I'm wondering too if we're trying to define multiple terms, is a survey the best way, or
Yeah.
multiple PRs maybe?
Yeah. I can share some ideas in my mind. I'm going to share my screen to.
Yeah, yes, please.
Okay. Here. That's my thought about the survey. So first step, I think we can collect more terms that people want to standardize. So I think we can sync the schedule in the community meeting, SIG mailing list, and to so we can collect as more terms, and after that we can start the survey during the we can have 2 or 4 weeks for the survey, and at the meantime we can sync the information on every SIG meeting and regularly on the in the SIG mailing list, and then after the survey we can share the survey result in the committee meeting, and then so we can have a uh, terminology file in the SIG repo, and I think after that we can move the terminology to the website. How do you think about it?
Yeah, well, the
I think Chojin has
time,
a
yeah,
hand
Trojan
up.
has one. Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I think the survey is good. So I want to like to understand the final goal. I mean, if we think that we want to know like what the user are currently using for each terminology and understand why who is using what terminology, it sounds helpful. Um, I just not sure. Are we going to like to say this is a top three? For example, if we have a vote and have like four or 10 terminology, and maybe someone vote for the top three, and do we just put top three terminologies in the in a certain doc in the SIG, or it's just a survey? I'm not quite sure what what the mechanism it will look like.
First, I think the output of the survey is that we can have a terminology in the term definition is only used in Sigma cluster, and I do agree with you that the terms are not means to force any project to follow the terms. I think the terms can be helpful when the ecosystem projects talk to Sigma cluster, so we can use the same term.
So so I think what you mean is that there is still a single terminology in the SIG that
Mm-hmm.
represents things.
Yeah, I see. What you mean in the slide discussion is you can. Do you mean we can refer to different projects to the terminology they are using, something like that, right?
I to me, I think we my understanding is we don't define a terminology like it must be hub cluster or must be something. I mean, it's just under different contexts. So we can define something like this is a centralized um, actor that is going to match something, and in this context, it is hub. In that context, for example, a certain project, it is um, like the management class, etc. Um, I'm just so I'm not quite clear about if we create a terminology markdown. Are we going to accept multiple terminologies with a single concept, or still single? And why we choose
I
the one?
Yeah, I think what we are going to do is to define a single term for a group of similar concepts. Like let's say in OCM projects, we name the cluster we are running the components, named the hub cluster, right? And in Kamada, we name the cluster host cluster. So once we have a agreement from the survey, we can have a single one. So when we discuss any feature, any topic, we can just use one term. So I think that's the value of the terminology. If we can, if we have too many terms, so there's still a chaos, I think.
Yeah, I'm not sure that's actually the case though, that it leads to chaos. Because well, as has been said before, the goal is just to define define the terms for the SIG. But I think the most important part of it isn't actually the terms themselves, is to define the concepts that we care about. And then give them labels so that people can see it's a glossary essentially, so that people can read SIG docs, and then there'd be work to make sure that all the SIG docs are consistent. But once that's done, people can look at the glossary to understand exactly what's meant by the different terms, and then it serves multiple purposes. It means that people can look at the way the concepts are split up and defined, to see if the way the SIG represents things matches their project or use case or whatever, and then also give the terms that are used to define what to refer to those concepts in the SIG, so that people can understand the docs. But I don't think this happens quite a lot in the world of IT in general. Just if you look at just the term service, for example, in Kubernetes, it's got lots of different meanings. We saw that just the other day again with the kubebind discussion. And people don't seem to have too much trouble in most cases having one set of terms in a certain context for a given concept, and then a different term for the same concept in a different context. So I don't think, if it ends up being what's the current situation in the PR is, we talk about hub clusters and spoke clusters, which is the OCM terminology. But people used to host clusters and member clusters in Karmada. They can continue using those terms, and it shouldn't be too difficult to match. And at least with the terminology document, if it went that way, then people who are familiar with Karmada and what host cluster and member cluster mean there could look at the glossary document and see that hub cluster and spoke cluster mean the same thing, or maybe not actually, and understand the SIG documents better. And of course, it might be different if we do run a second survey and the choice is different. The end result would be different. And so OCM people, I don't think, would have trouble going from hub cluster and spoke cluster to a different term. Same for all the other projects that are involved. But yeah, Chen, you've got your hand up.
Yeah, just a really quick question. Not really a question, just my personal thought on this matter. To me, it's I mean, I'm not trying to deny the value of having terminology file. It would definitely be helpful. It's just my personal opinion that this, to me, feels a little bit like a chicken egg situation, where I mean, I'm a little bit confused about the approach we want to proceed. Do we want to first identify a number of common concept, then we give people a list of terms and ask them like which one best aligns with the concept, or do we want to first identify a number of terms like hub cluster or host cluster, and then we ask people like how should we define them? Because those two approaches are kind of tangled together. That's the part where it confuses me a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good point. And so that would have to be part of the survey, and I think that's it makes it complicated to have just a single survey for everything, especially if we want to define multiple terms. But I suspect if we're going to say if the survey is going to be, well, the way I see the survey at least is that we'd have a definition of the concepts and a list of terms that projects currently use, or maybe new ideas for terms that would represent those concepts. The survey isn't about deciding what the concepts are, because the concepts are already pretty much defined by the various CAPs. It's coming up with a consistent set of terms to refer to those concepts. Okay, does that match what you have in mind as well?
I'm sorry, I didn't follow.
So Chen was saying that there's a bit of a chicken and egg problem. There are two things that we need to do. First is, well, not first. We need to define concepts that everybody agrees on in the context of the SIG, and give assign terms to them. Which one comes first? Do we first identify the concepts and then associate the terms, or do we choose terms and define the concepts afterwards? And the way I see it is that we have the concepts already from the CAPs, and the goal is to agree on terms for them.
I think that we don't have a consistent term in SIG. In this SIG, I can see in the past we use the concept when the SIG developing Kubernetes or Federation V1 project, we use some concepts, and then we use some other concepts. So I think we don't have a consistent concepts right now. So that's why we need to have a survey and collect more ideas and have a vote. And then
All right. Okay. So it's both about the concepts and the terms then, from your perspective. Is that correct?
So, sorry.
So from your perspective, it's both about the concepts and the terms, because we don't have an agreed upon set of concepts.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. And MJ has a good point in the chat about having acceptance criteria.
Yeah, I don't know how we can define that, like how many people responded, things like that. Like what I don't want to get up into the same situation as we were before.
Again, yeah.
Yeah, that's a good question. Actually, the the previous vote we didn't consider that, so we just get the vote from the GitHub and the developer vote on it.
Yeah, whereas typically for other surveys, we'd have a proper form of some kind, and then graphs and whatnot. and Josh giving a presentation.
Maybe we can talk to Kubernetes steering committee to get some guides on how to run a vote in a SIG.
Yeah, I don't think I'm not sure we particularly need their help. I mean, we've done it in the past. It's just that this time around it didn't happen that way. So previously, for other bigger votes, we've had Josh Berkus run things. So I'll ping him and see what he thinks of this. But maybe, so could I ask you, Honkai in particular, so if you're as well, from what what I can remember from the interactions on the PR itself, there hasn't been much debate around the concepts, just the terms. So could you take a look at that again and see if we'd have to have a debate or survey around the concepts themselves, or if the current PR is okay in that respect?
Do you mean I look at the PR conversation and for what? Sorry.
No, not the conversation, just the contents. Well, you were saying that we don't even have a consistent set of concepts in the community. And so the PR, well, 8210, it defines the concepts as well as the terms. And so I'm wondering if you wouldn't mind taking a look at the PR again, but more from the concepts angle, to see if there's anything that that might be a point of contention there, or if it's just really the terms, so that we can figure out the exact scope of the survey.
Sure, I can take another look, but before I looked at the PR more than I think multiple times.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. Yeah, it's just to make sure that we're not missing anything on the concepts angle rather than the terms. So let's see, I'll write down action items.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've added the items to the doc. I'm just looking for the all right, your presentation with the new slide. I should say. There we go. Is there anything else to say on this topic for the time being, or does anybody have anything? Yeah.
I have another topic about the MCS API. So these
Okay.
days, actually, we had a lot of changes or PRs on the MCS API. So I think also have few. One is to define the service export condition. So basically, we are going to deprecate the existing condition to use new condition to be more formal. So like, but the side effects is that all the provider and the consumers may need to do some migration. So it will break the existing code. So this is the things we do it correctly, but since we are still V1 Alpha 1, but the side effects, there will be more work involved. So definitely need some feedback from the upstream to see whether the benefits is more than the side effects. I mean, than the work involved. So would like to hear other people's feedback on this PR. Yeah, also there are some discussion on actually also introduce another condition called service, another one called the service exported condition. So yeah, people can take a look to see whether it's useful for your use case or not. And another PR actually is about the service import condition. So this is a new scenario occurred. But this new PR may impact our discussion on the V1 Beta 1 API, because now we are going to add the status, not just the spec, or so it will probably impact our decision on whether we should put into the root or whether we should still have the spec and status. So people need to take a look. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a good point. So that's the two PRs, 5438 and 5439. Yeah, so please take a look at that. Everybody, and give feedback on the PRs themselves. And yeah, I'll try to get I'll make sure the recordings are available, but this was discussed in detail on the I think the June 24th call. Yeah.
Yeah.
So the recording isn't available yet, but I'll get added to the YouTube channel.
Yeah, one thing is I think I don't know how can we. So we now have two meetings. I know in the US and Europe meeting, there's a lot of discussion. We spent a lot of time discuss this. If we have discussion here, how can we bridge these two discussions?
Yeah, that's
If somehow two meetings come up with two different conclusions, what would happen?
Yeah.
Maybe we should discuss on the PR itself. So usually I start the discussion there so we can see the history and the context.
Yeah, that tends to be my point of view as well. If we're having a discussion on a PR, it should happen on a discussion on the PR itself. And then if any discussion, so this is something that we're not good at. If discussion happens during the calls, then somebody should, so it's always easy to say somebody should, right? But we should make sure that during the calls, we have an action item on an identified person to update the PR with a summary of the discussion. So some of what Laura did the last time around on some of the CAPs. But yeah, more generally, I mean, well, I've been trying to do that on these calls, but we need to be better at taking notes during the calls as well. But it is a concern I've had in mind as well, that we need to be able to somehow bridge these calls and get consensus across both, and I'm not sure how to do that. Actually, the Gateway API people, they've been doing this for a while, so maybe they'll have some ideas. I'll ask them. Does anybody else have any ideas on this topic?
Oh, just a quick question on the credential front. This is more a question directly
Yeah.
to Jian actually. Yeah, thanks so much for the PR and for the example implementation that Jian has kindly implemented. I have some questions on how the extensions field should be used in the cluster part. I saw that PR has been merged right now. Would it be okay if I open the discussion directly on the cluster inventory repo? Would that be all right?
Oh yeah, sure. I think it's it's merged by accident. Accidentally, I think Mike only gave a look to me tag and it's merged because the proof is automatically added. Anyway, yes, I think you can just leave the comments. I see that is a gap, like we haven't been able to fill out some customized variables into the command. I don't know. I haven't figured out what the best way to do that yet.
Yeah. It would be like, I mean, on the AP level, the support is already, I mean, at least we have a few that we can
Yeah,
populate. I will detail myself in a maybe a discussion or issue on the cluster inventory repo. Yeah, thanks so much.
cool.
Yeah, on that front, I have a kind of follow-up. So if we have, after we decided that API, I think the next thing is we need to try to integrate with at least like Argo CD or Q or something. And there is a PR from the multi-cluster runtime. I don't know. I haven't looked at that yet. I don't know if any of you have seen that. I don't know if that uh, is in a good shape. Did they truly understand what our current the credential uh, library is about? Or it's if it is, then that's a good start, right? We now have first uh, kind of third party, or we used to call them applications that actually can use cluster profile. That'd be actually really good. But I don't think that PR got a lot of attention yet. I don't know if anyone has looked at that PR. Let me see if I read PR.
I do. I think Corton also already took look at that also. So currently is still
Oh,
leveraging the secret because when that PR is submitted, we haven't finished this library yet, but
oh,
we will talk with them the PRs around that just to change to using the
okay,
library part.
okay, good to know. Cool.
So that's PR 40 on multi-cluster runtime, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Okay. Uh, that's the end of the topics. Well, we passed the end of the topics. But does anybody else have anything to discuss, or shall we end the call?
Okay. Thank you,
And I'll
everyone.
take that, yep, as a no. So thanks everybody for attending and for all the discussion. We've got a few action items, mostly on me, so let's make sure we get to them.
Thank you, Stefan.
Well, so there are action items on everybody. Like, please take a look at 5438 and 5439 and the other PRs that are still open. And I'll see you all in 2 weeks' time, and some of you on the Tuesday call. Have a good rest of the week. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.